Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we're going to talk about disconnecting and disconnecting again, how it's perceived, what's really going on, and why people who are not in the same connection space you are see it as very odd. So that was a long way of saying, that was my long intro to basically saying what happens when you start disconnecting from your outer reality, right? A lot of people will get concerned that we're in your outer reality when you start pulling out of things, pulling out of relationships, pulling out of, different places you used to go, sometimes jobs because they don't feel aligned anymore. They don't really feel like they fit anymore. You start doing different things, you start disconnecting. But we disconnect so we can connect inside. That is the difference between the human perception of disconnecting and the soul perception, the higher perception of disconnecting. We do disconnect, and we can look very disconnected, but we're disconnecting from the human realities. We're disconnecting from third dimensional levels of consciousness. We're not disconnecting from ourselves. When you're in the third dimensional level of consciousness, when you're in your human consciousness, you are disconnected. You are connected up to 3D, in a sense, third dimensional human consciousness, human realities, but you're not connected inside. So when we are in the middle of that shift, we appear very disconnected, and we'll feel very disconnected. It's kind of odd because the more connected we are with ourselves inside, the more disconnected we are from everything outside. Especially when you're talking about the human realities. Like, you have no idea really what's going on. You might not see a lot of people. You might see no one for like a long period of time because you just kind of walk in a different world, in a sense. You're in a different dimension. You're in a different vibration. Saying you're in a different dimension is really just saying you're in a different vibration. You're embracing a different vibration. You're deeper in yourself. And the more connected you are within, the more disconnected you're going to appear, because you are, in a sense, disconnecting. Just you're not disconnecting from what people think you're disconnecting from. Now, I've said before, the human realities are very cult-like mentalities, right? So people try to kind of suck you back in. That's why I never really get too much into mental health type of stuff, and that's even like supporting different mental health causes, because sometimes it's like, what is it trying to say that you should be doing or shouldn't be doing? It can be a tricky thing to look at, and what aligns with you, what doesn't align with you, what sounds like that might be mentally healthy if you're in your human realities, but is that really mentally healthy for where you are in your new realities? So don't get too judgmental when you feel like you're disconnecting from everything, because we have to actually to connect within ourselves. You can't really stay connected to all the outside stuff and disconnect, or you can't stay connected there and then connect within. You can't do them at the same time. You have to disconnect from third dimensional. The cat is shaking the camera. Cats drive me crazy every time. They don't bother me till I start shooting something or streaming something, and then they want to be on camera so bad, or they make their presence known. So, okay. Don't get too bogged down on yourself when you disconnect. People ask, oh, where have you been? I haven't seen you. Oh, why'd you quit that job? Why did you leave that friendship? Why'd you leave that relationship? Why are you not really enjoying the stuff you used to enjoy anymore? Because you're trying to connect within yourself. And how you're doing that is not going to look like connecting, because humans feel like connection is with other people. That's how humans connect, and we were all in our human realities. We're all intertwined with everybody. That's not how the soul connects. You can't connect with your soul by being intertwined with everybody else. You can't really even take the energy into connecting with yourself and going inside yourself, because there's a lot of energy with working through kind of your own stuff, working through your programming, working through different emotions when you're doing that. And you don't have that energy when you're around a lot of, we're just going to say, people in their human programming, because you can't even get your frequency where you want to get it. Too many people are, it's kind of like like a push-pull a bit on the frequency, because when you're in a higher frequency, you're always setting the tone for the reality. You're in control, in a sense, of the frequency of your space. That's why for a while we have to disconnect from everything. We have to get our frequency high enough where we can hold it all the time, no matter who's around us. You can be around 100 people really in human consciousness, and it's just consciousness. It's not a, it's not a judgment on where anybody is. It's just a statement. It's just a different consciousness level, and they're pulling, in a sense. That's what the human consciousness does. It pulls on everyone's consciousness. So you have to be strong enough. You have to have held that consciousness long enough, be big enough energetically to hold your field, to where when you walk into a room, everyone's in your field. Everyone's going to experience your reality. That's what you're, in a way, working toward. Because at some point you do have to go back out. You don't really connect back to 3D. We don't do that. But we are around humans from time to time. People really in their human consciousness. To have interchanges, you have agreements with certain people, to be that higher state of consciousness for them. And so you have to be able to not go small, not to dim back down, not to, or people say like kind of dim your soul light. You have to be able to hold your field and not go back into somebody else's. So sometimes you might disconnect from something for years, and then have to go back just to see the difference in you when you're there. Places that used to seem really big to you will seem really small to you. Because you're really big now. You take up more energetic space. Whereas the humans are a little different. Humans will kind of spread out more. If you ever notice people who, they're really in their human programming, they just get big. They physically just kind of lay out everywhere, in a sense, legs, open, they're really trying to puff themselves up. Where when you're energetically big, you don't have to do that. But you're still in control of the field. The higher field will always be the one that dictates the field. How long can you hold it? You get tired, when it's time to go, because it does take a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of energy, and you can be putting in something else with other people more in your frequency, in a certain frequency that's more compatible to yours. But there are reasons that we have to do that from time to time, because we are here to be a higher consciousness example for someone, not above or below. I went into this in another video, because sometimes it can be interpreted as that, but that's the game's kind of we play when we're human. Oh, that's above me. Oh, they're higher than me for whatever reason. It's just a different state of consciousness, but you do control the field. And when you can go out and control the field, that's your responsibility, to hold the field. Everyone that comes into your field is going to experience what you're going to experience. No matter how magical and amazing that can happen in your field, they're going to experience that. They're going to have the enlightenment in your field. Maybe not that moment when they're with you, maybe later on. They might realize something they didn't realize before, but you're in control of the field. That's why after a while we get tired, because if you hold the field for a long period of time, eventually your body will start to putter out, because you're trying so hard to hold the field. Because the human, it's not even like it's an intentional thing. They're just pulling. That's just what we do when we're in our human consciousness. We're trying to fill up with all the outside stuff. So we're pulling on, kind of using you almost as like an energizer battery, in a sense. And then you get into, people will call them energy. Oh, they drain my energy. They don't really drain your energy. They're just a different frequency. When they're different frequency, they're going to pull on the higher frequency so they can keep going. But it's not it's not a victim thing. It's just how it works. It's an energetic thing. It's just how it works. But you're still supposed to be in certain places. After a while, if you keep working with the same people and you don't really see anything shifting, sometimes you do have to go for long periods of times. Most of the time, people will come up to meet you to some extent, but they can't hold for long if it's really outside of their frequency, and they won't be able to stay for long. But just kind of know that's what's going on. And I don't even really remember what I started this video talking about. I don't even feel like it was what I ended on. So I would recap the video, but I can't even remember how I started it. So, okay, keep practicing the art of intuition.